Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Singer Ben Stevens is today's guest. Ben will talk about his band Juice, new music, and more.
Singer, songwriter, and member of the band Juice, Ben Stevens. Welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
How's it going, Mark?
Going well, going well. You know, we go way back, Ben. You know how people often say, I knew you when? Well, I knew you when you played Tony in Suffern High School's version of West Side Story, because my friend Scott was in the pit.
Yes,
what was it like? Yeah, what was it like being part of that live Broadway-style production in high school?
Honestly, Mark, it's an experience very near and dear to me. I still resonate with a lot of the music from the show tunes. You know, I was a cellist first. That was sort of my introduction to music. And I didn't really find my voice until probably high school, but that's when like the theater really started to kick off, and I kind of found a new dimension to my musical passion in the theater. Funny enough, so it was great, and it was a shitload of fun. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
You can say that. Don't worry. We're not going to edit that out. We want the real
Okay.
Ben Stevens. So
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to test my memory now. Did you play sports in school? Maybe football? Am I making that up?
You're making that up, but I did play sports. Yeah.
I'm asking that because I know in the playbill, you know, when the parents say, congratulations, Johnny, I think there was something in there, but I think there was a picture of you either in a football uniform or somewhere on a sports field, because everything in high school between sports, academics, and the arts. And it's interesting to me that I know you played sports, but you chose the arts.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how many of the other plays you were in. You didn't go from I like singing to let me try out for the lead in West Side Story. How did that come about?
Sure. I guess I was doing theater since the sixth grade, but I come from a pretty musical family, especially the Puerto Rican side of my family. And my mother's side, virtually every holiday, we'd all come together, and me and my 8 gazillion cousins, and we'd eat good food and drink wine and just sing together. So that, in combination with like growing up in the church and just singing those like Irish Catholic hymns or just like soul praise tunes, I think that sort of shaped me in a way to become a singer. But I also have 2 older sisters, so there was a lot of singing in the house at all times.
Right. And do you play the guitar?
I do, yeah.
Not
well.
Yeah. Did that start later in life? Well, it looks good on stage, so I know you got to have that in your hand sometimes. But,
Yes.
Yeah. When did you start to play the guitar?
That's half the gig. So I
gotta look good.
I started in high school a little bit. I was super into the first Ed Sheeran record. I was more into that side of the guitar. I later fell in love with the electric sound. I mean, my dad was a big Boston guy, Chicago guy. So I grew up with a lot of like legendary guitar players in my ears, but it really is just, it was sort of a natural thing for me, especially with the left hand, like coming from the cello. Don't ever look at my right hand on stage. It is not good. But I can definitely find my way around the neck. And I think it adds a nice texture on stage. It's not the most complicated thing ever. We have very good guitar players already, but it's nice to rock out with them sometimes and pretend.
Sure. A question about the cello. Not exactly a chick magnet. I know that because I played the clarinet. Not exactly a chick magnet, but it's definitely much more of a chick magnet compared to the cello. What made you play the cello? Such a hard instrument. And boy, when somebody plays that well, it's just magnificent.
Yeah, right. It's truly unusual. So my parents had a tradition. It's funny. Someone the other day was talking about in Korea, they have this tradition where they would lay out some objects in front of like a 1-year-old infant and allow them to sort of choose something, like pick something up, whether it's like an easel or a baseball or something. And they kind of did that to us, but with musical instruments, because they were like, our children are going to do this, because they have high reverence for music. And my dad's a guitar player. That's also something I should mention. I sort of was ushered in through my father into the world of guitar. But they played a bunch of records to me, and they judged my reactions when I was like 2 or something, and I was drawn to the cello, and picked it up pretty quick. And yeah, this is a very special relationship that I have with that thing.
Right. Yeah. Not easy. Not easy to play at all. So we're on our journey to where you are now. But I also believe after high school, you sang a lot in college in Boston, I believe. So
That's right.
How did you continue to hone your singing craft while you were earning a degree?
Sure. Well, I was trying to. Oh, well, I did. I literally auditioned for The Voice when I graduated from Suffern High School, and that I actually like went to LA when I was 17 for a few months there. And I don't want to get bogged down in the details because it was kind of a heartbreaking story. The true nature of Hollywood and show business revealed itself to me at a young age. But I deferred my first semester from school for that. And I wound up going to school in January, and right across the hall from me was Dan and Miles, who are my now drummer and guitar player. And right next door was JT, who was my manager. So I fell literally into the lap of the next 4 years of music. And I was fully like not even thinking about it. I was like, maybe I'll join an a cappella group, which I did, just for fun. It's really more of just like a friend time activity anyways. But, it's fun to sing with your friends. And so I did that. And the band formed shortly after I got there. So yeah, it was the 4 years of music was just sort of baked in. I also did a music minor. So I was taking some fun theory classes and jazz and composition and history and stuff. So
I know now where you met your bandmates, but getting together, playing songs, having fun is one thing, but now some serious stuff starts to happen. So how did the actual group Juice get its start? And when did you go from, hey, look at the rehearsal in our garage, and wow, this sounds great, and wait a second, we may have something here?
Sure. It's funny because I feel like I'm still battling that thing like in my own head. Which I think a lot of other artists can probably relate to. But I think, it was between our junior and senior year of college, we had been playing shows around Boston a little bit, like the Middle East, downstairs. We would sometimes go up to Burlington to play Nectar's. And I think we submitted ourselves for a Battle of the Bands. Well, we won a Battle of the Bands at BC as freshmen, which that was like, I think hint number one that something was there. And that was the first time any of us had like really, really like sat down to write a song, and we wrote 3 songs for that. That won us, the competition. So we started getting some bigger gigs on campus, playing around Boston a little bit, playing at other colleges. Between junior and senior year, we did a Battle of the Bands in Wisconsin. It was for Summerfest, Land the Big Gig or something, and we won that too. So that we got a check, which was nice. It wasn't a lot, but it was able to help us. And we got some gear, set ourselves up to do a little gigging in New York over that summer. Just while still like seniors in college, we started doing small contained little tours. And we're like, hey, we know we sound good. The artist thing, really being an artist thing was still kind of being figured out, and kind of always is, but at least we could sell tickets, which is hard, especially for up and coming bands these days, so that was nice. And we have a lot of support just from our friends and family that helped us realize that potential. So,
well, it's quite the start of a journey, and I always talk about the story behind the glory on my show. So, because my son Scott and of course the great Sammy Sandler, they're both friends of yours. I know that touring is not always so glamorous, and it wasn't always so glamorous for you guys. So, what struggles did you have to overcome as the Juice fan base grew?
Sure. Well, certainly touring around the country with like $100 in your pocket, and you got to feed yourself for a month. So it's like, hopefully people show up.
Right.
There's that. Yeah, and right when we graduated school, man, it was truly trial by fire. It was like 3 months at a time. We'd be out on the road with a lot of space in between. Thank you, by the way, to all the people that were willing to put us up, because I don't think we would be here without that, just financially and like from a mental health perspective, because that's also another significant battle. It's like my body is not feeling great, and we're seeing that could be a bad turning point for you, because like the stress, you feel it in your throat, you tense up, you sing wrong. Yeah, and that's sort of when I first started understanding what anxiety was. But yeah, I think just the challenges of that, really just like, I think the mental health thing, because at the end of the day, I think we know what we're capable of and know what we give people and what we share with people live. That's, I think, unique to us and pretty special. But just making sure, and that also, because I know that it's a good and special thing, I wind up putting more pressure on myself, because I don't want to screw it up for like myself or other people. I always want to be 100% all the time. And I think accepting that you won't always be 100% all the time, but still like finding a way to connect to the music and to the fans has been a journey. But yeah, it was definitely gnarly coming out of school.
Well, I appreciate that openness, because people really don't realize the mental health aspect. They see people clapping and screaming and crying and backstage and all that other stuff, and they see the glory, but they don't know the story. They don't know the hard work, the perseverance. As you said, hard to feed yourself. I know somebody who was a photographer and helping with the videos for the bands and things like that, and they were all on a bus together. And if you wanted to go shower, you couldn't shower on the bus. You had to run out to they had like 2 hotel rooms that they rented, and 15 people used those showers in those hotels.
Yeah.
So very difficult to do. But let's get back.
But extraordinarily rewarding. I don't want to skip over that either.
Oh, absolutely. The whole point is, it's an old saying, nothing worthwhile comes easy. I have a lot older than you, and I've done some worthwhile things. None of it happened easily, unless you win the lottery or something. But absent of that, it is rewarding, because I want to get to that reward. So what does it feel like when, it's different when you write a good essay in school and the teacher says, I would like to read Ben's essay to the class, and you're half embarrassed, half proud. But what is it like when you write a song, it sounds good, at least you think it sounds good. Now people start telling you it sounds good, and now you're doing it live, and something you wrote, the lyrics, the music, whatever part you wrote, maybe both, it's resonating with them. What does that feel like?
Sure. I've been thinking back, so I think I have a few things to say. When we released Heartbreak in a Box, I think that working on Love and EP was, all of our projects, I think, mark some sort of moment in the Juice ethos that it's like growth markers, I'd say. That EP, my sister was getting married. We were supposed to release the song on a Friday. The distributor like botched it somehow, and we were like, oh, where's the song? We had no idea what was going on. It wound up coming out like 5 or 6 days later, and then a week after that, we played a show in the city at Mercury Lounge, and there were half the people in the crowd singing the lyrics to the song, and I'm like, I barely know the lyrics to this song.
Right.
Like it was truly wild. And I don't think I never felt the responsibility of that so much as a songwriter, because a lot of times the way I write is generally like flow state kind of writing. So it's almost like something else is doing it. So I like automatically kind of like remove myself from that, which is nice. The performance of it is different. So I think there's more gratitude to whatever that is, and my, that energy, that spirit, gratitude for that, giving us something, and allowing for a shared experience than like, anything else.
Well, it's so authentic because this is the third time today that you've talked about what you give to the audience and what you share with the audience. That's tremendous.
Mm.
Gotta ask you, what do you like more, writing a song or singing a song?
Mm. Uh, I think it depends because sometimes you know what? I think I'll say writing a song, um, because I oftentimes find that I write and I don't love singing on some of it because it pushes me because it comes from that place that's not, it's kind of unfamiliar.
Right.
Um, it's really nice when you hit something that like also is super fun to sing. I think that happens less for me personally. I really like singing other people's songs. I mean, I don't know. It's some weird cross between both, but I really love writing a song. I love recording songs. Um, it's like, again, like sometimes the anxiety of singing and just kind of being a perfectionist kind of gets in the way sometimes, but we're working that out.
Awesome. And it's interesting because I had the Zombies on my show and they were big in the 50s, 60s. They've been around 50 years and they're in their
Yeah.
70s. They're closer to 80 than they are to 70. And they still talk about the voice and they mention the same kind of anxiety. They sent me videos of them doing exercises. And the biggest of the big, I mean, I don't know that Justin Bieber is going to be singing when he's in 70s, but these people, these old groups and stuff, that voice is the whole thing, and they respect that, and the voice is their instrument. So now we take that instrument and walk me through. People always hear in the studio, in the studio. Nobody knows what that means unless they go into the studio. So walk me through
Sure.
what it means to be in the studio.
Sure. It's funny. I was literally just there yesterday, albeit doing some of the less fun work, which is like combing through all this stuff, making sure everything's sitting right, 3-dimensionally, 4-dimensionally, whatever. But when you're going into the studio and there's nothing that's been recorded yet, save like whatever demo or voice memo that we made together, and you get to just like build something from nothing, and there's just a whole playground of stuff that you get to mess around with and just create something with your buds. It's pretty much the coolest thing ever. And I find that when the song is slowly coming together track by track, this is when like the flow state kind of stuff comes in, like new parts get written,
Right.
new ideas come in, and it just breathes like an extra decibel of vibe into the song. And I love that. I love that so much. And then you get to come home and listen to what you just did that like did not exist before, and it's a pretty remarkable feeling. Yeah, but it can be a tedious, it's like
Well,
12, if and it's expensive, but we'll be there from noon till 4 a.m., just straight, no breaks, ordering food in, yeah, it's definitely grueling, but it's pretty awesome.
but that's really truly where the magic happens. Uh,
Yeah.
you mentioned being in there with your buds. So I've done training at schools, trainings, corporate trainings, team building, things like that. And you mentioned your buds, but your generation is not always known for its cooperation and teamwork. So it's not always easy to work with others.
No shit, huh?
So what is the relationship that you have with your fellow band members and how does that keep growing?
Sure. Well, we started as friends first. I don't think any one of us had aspirations of maybe besides Mile, who sort of was the engine behind us, like getting our shit together. But yeah, I don't know. It's the friendship piece that I think can sometimes make things more difficult because it's just like we have this saying, "Boys in the morning." We'll be boys in the morning, but and there's a lot of us, so there's certainly a good amount of headbutting. But when you put that bullshit to the side and work together, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. And I'd say that people ask me, what's your inspiration? Who do you listen to? That sort of informs what you're creating. And I can give you a list of those names, but really it's my bandmates.
Quite a compliment.
And yeah. And, I mean, I basically don't go a day without seeing them for the last 9 years, so it's only natural.
Right. So talking about you don't go a day without seeing them. Now you might see them a lot. Tell us about your upcoming tour.
Sure. Wow, look at you. We're going on tour, opening up for Ocean Alley. They're an Australian band. They're super kick-ass. We're playing the same venue as we were in San Luis Obispo about 8 months ago or so. They caught our set and they were blown away. And so when they, our agent or somebody mentioned like, hey, they're looking for support, we just hit them up directly and we're like, yo, like this could be interesting. And they were like, yeah, you guys got it. So that's going to be sick. We're playing a bunch of wonderful venues around the country. It's about like a month and a half of a good amount of shows. And I'm excited, especially because we're working on a new record and we get to sort of try out some new songs live. That's always really nerve-wracking, but that means it's good.
Oh, absolutely. That keeps you on your toes. So in closing, Ben Stevens from Juice, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Really excited to have you. To the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST. On Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel, so subscribe. Juice lead singer Ben Stevens, thanks so much for being my guest today.
Thanks for having me, Marc. This was fun.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.